Pastor Bonnie shared about faithfulness in her sermon on March 27th. And I loved her story about the bottle of oil and hearing God's voice. She shared about the importance of not only hearing God's voice, but learning to obey it and the Lord's faithfulness in those moments. Those moments come from walking closely with the Lord. This reminded me of something I recently heard on a podcast that really spoke to me about how I listen to Jesus and walk with him. This is my summary from that teaching from Bible teacher Christy McClellan. Jewish people follow after their rabbi to learn from his teaching and become one of his disciples. The way the rabbi often teaches is very visual, using things in the world all around them, just as Jesus did with his disciples, teaching them things as they were walking along. The disciples would stay close to their rabbi, so close that the dust from his sandals would get all over them. The Jewish phrase for this is halak, the halakha, which means to walk the way. They wanted to walk the way their rabbi did. A great example of this is the story in Matthew 14 of Jesus walking on water. To the Jewish people, water represented chaos. So when Jesus came walking on the water in the storm, he was walking on the chaos. When Jesus said, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid," Peter is the only one who chose to step out of the boat and join Jesus on the water. He wanted to be as close to his rabbi as possible, to be there if his rabbi shared something new. He walked a few steps toward Jesus on the water until the storm distracted him and he took his eyes off Jesus and began to sink. Jesus was right there to pull him back up and not allow him to drown. Our Western churches tend to focus on how Peter failed and didn't trust enough to keep walking on the water. But what if Peter got it right? He was the only disciple who was bold enough to ask Jesus to invite him to join him to walk on the water. While the other 11 remained in the boat and watched what happened, Peter was the only one who experienced walking on water. 11 men saw it, but 1 man lived it. For the rest of his life, Peter had that memory of what it was like to be that close to Jesus and walk on water with him. Peter took the risk and did not want to miss anything that Jesus had for him. And because of that, he experienced something no one else in history did. Christy asked these questions at the end of the podcast, which I am still praying about today. Do you want to be a spectator of the faith or an active participant? How willing are you to walk so closely that you stay in the dust of your rabbi? Jesus doesn't call us into adventures alone. He is always there with us.